Right, let's explore the story further now and speak to Gauteng MEC for Agriculture, Vuyiswa Ramokgopa. A very good evening to you, MEC, and thank you so much for your time. Between the time you updated the media earlier on today, is there an update regarding the numbers?
Good evening. The numbers remain as they are, with 195 reported cases in the province. But nonetheless, our state veterinarians are on the ground every day, and as and when new cases are being reported, those figures are being updated.
We speak about this illegal, if one can describe it, transportation of cattle, right, to the province of Gauteng. Are you able to elaborate on the detail there?
Absolutely. One of the challenges that the sector has actually been facing for some time now is one of stock theft and the illegal movement and sale of animals. And there have actually been a number of discussions and measures around that. And I think what this FMD crisis has exacerbated is the risks with having poor livestock identification measures and an inability to track and monitor livestock that has either been stolen or that has been illegally removed from its premises and taken somewhere else. And Gauteng, as you can imagine, being the logistics hub, the economical hub of the province, of the country, does tend to then be an epicenter for a lot of this product, livestock products that is brought in from other provinces and traded at various auction sites or even in informal markets in Gauteng.
I'm going to get to the impact in just a moment, but I want to stay with what you've just said. So do your investigations tell you that it was a case of stock theft that could have been the issue here? Or is it a case of cattle that were being sold and unfortunately somebody did not detect that this was indeed the case? Are you able to elaborate further on that particular statement as far as investigations are concerned?
Well, in terms of the origins of the outbreak, no, it's not possible to determine at this stage. What we do know is that the strain of the virus that we have detected now and that Gauteng is facing originated from KZN, as you had reported. And the very first incidents that we actually picked up on were around last year, around April 2025. So to point to exactly which specific cattle it was, it is very difficult to say at this point. The identification is of the strain and being able to recognize where that comes from.
And the Premier speaks about something that we often talk about, but I feel like it's at a high level sometimes, the economic as well as social impact of all of this, and not really get bogged down into the details as to how the farmers themselves get affected, because you think about the stigma sometimes in some of these cases. Let's take it there to explain to someone watching tonight what becomes the impact of this.
Yeah, the livestock and cattle sector is quite instrumental to a lot of people's livelihoods, including, farmers at all levels. We have had incidents where we have had reports of farmers who have had to slaughter their entire herd. And that is years and years of work and thousands of rands of investment that goes into building up a herd to that level. But you also have farmers at a much smaller scale who maybe are farming in communal grazing lands, in the peri-urban rural areas of our province. Sometimes this is an only source of income for many families. It is often even a form of subsistence for many families. And so when farmers are unable to sell their stock, either because it is feared or suspected of being FMD infected, when they're unable to get the price that they would have needed to get to make a profit, it has a substantial impact on them and their income and their livelihoods and on society. And particularly, I'd say, even amongst, our African communities, cattle play such an important part even in our traditional ceremonies, and we use, they're traded and sold and bought for various ceremonies and events that we would be celebrating. And so this is a crucial part of the township, the rural economies that we have in Gauteng and all over the country. So we're really saying this is not just an animal health crisis. There are certainly social repercussions, economic repercussions, people who are not going to be able to rebuild after they suffer the economic losses from this particular outbreak. And so as government, it's our responsibility to do whatever we can to minimize those challenges, because we are not able to deal with the potential social fallout of an outbreak of this nature.
And let's quickly talk about what that looks like, because as you describe this, right, it's a multifaceted problem that is going to impact society at a broader level. Let's talk about what you're doing, because I know the 16 million set aside to assist with vaccines and all of that, but when you look at everything in totality, how are you going to be helping those people affected?
So the key pillars really of the rapid response approach, speaks about going even beyond just the vaccination part. I mean, you've correctly mentioned that is a core pillar, and indeed we have been able to, try and allocate more resources towards procurement of vaccines. But there are other elements as well. I mean, one of the key preventative measures is really about containing the spread of the disease, and so limiting the movement of animals, especially unlawful movement of animals, as we've discussed. The second thing is really enforcement. I mean, we have law enforcement capabilities that have not yet been deployed towards addressing this crisis. We want to make sure that at every point of entry in and out of the province, where there are roadblocks, where there are law enforcement operations that are taking place, that they are also doing those checks and ensuring that those who are transporting livestock are doing so lawfully, and that they are bringing healthy, if not already vaccinated, livestock into the province. And then lastly, it's about communication and really amplifying our communication efforts and ensuring that we communicate with a multi-stakeholder group. And so we've established and we've resolved to establish a multi-stakeholder consultative forum just for this purpose, because this issue impacts, as I said, people from all walks of life, from your traditional authorities, small-scale farmers, commercial farmers, the auctioneers and traders of beef and of livestock. And it really is up to all of us, including communities and consumers ourselves, to step up and assist in the efforts to curb the spread of FMD.
Certainly, but thank you so much for speaking to us, and I'm sure this conversation does a bit to allay some of the fears of those individuals who could be sitting at home wondering what's to happen. Appreciate your time, MEC. Thank you so much for talking to us. That was the Gauteng MEC for Agriculture, Vuyiswa Ramokgopa.